Unsyndicated presents Off the Board, the weekly gambling show. Hosted by Blake Majchrzak and Mike Iavasile.
Welcome to another week of Off the Board with me, Blake Majchrzak, and my degenerate gambling buddy, Mike Iavasile.
Yes.
And Mike, there's a million different ways I can go to start this. First of all, we were talking about a little bit before the show. I liked Tampa a lot tonight, and obviously we're not giving that out because the game's already started, but I liked, for a lot of football reasons, I liked Tampa tonight, but you were saying like the numbers on that game were just all over the place.
Well, absolutely. So when I first originally took a look at it, my numbers pointed all over Atlanta. And I think I said, gun to my head, I would have taken Atlanta. However, the early money, the early line move went to Tampa. So that throws me totally off it. Now that line came back to almost 3, but it'll never get to 3 because, like I said, there's 2 syndicates and they're battling the books right now, and it's going back between 2.5, 1.5, 2. It was everywhere. That's a no bet for me.
Did you look at either of the college games for tonight?
I did, and
I really liked Texas State over Troy. I think Troy's really bad.
And that would have been, when I took a look at that would have been my bet too, because I hear you talk about Troy a lot. I've gone on the Texas State, on them and off them a couple times this year. So that's a way that's where I would have went. However, again, if it doesn't match up, it doesn't match up. It didn't even make my board as I took a look at it. My board didn't start till Friday.
So I watched before we started tonight. I watched about 3 minutes of that game, and Troy had a stop, and then like a quick 3 and out just after they scored. So the score was 14-7. They roughed the kicker, and instantly next play, Texas State hits a bomb for a touchdown.
Right. And that's about Troy for you, right?
Yep, exactly. That's the Troy boys just coming through. Did you see on social media and everything today that today is the start of 55 straight days of football?
How great is that? The memes and everything coming out. This is, a guy even came into my office today and he's like, you know what today is? And I'm like, yep. He goes, it's time to make some money. And I'm like, 100%, baby. Let's go. Let's do this. As we're sitting here talking about that Atlanta bet as they go in for a touchdown here, it got me thinking why I go off and on of games. And one of these things, we like to throw some tips out there. One of these guys that I follow, Josh Applebaum, give him a follow him on Twitter, read his articles. He's really good. I go for the early money. So I look to see who made that line move early. He put out his article today, and he was going on Tampa because of late money. And his tip is about late money is this is the time on game day that they up the limits. So that's when you're going to see the big bettors come in and do it. And that makes sense to me. I still prefer, until I have to change it, I prefer that early money. So I wanted to get that in when we're talking about taking Atlanta, not taking Atlanta, when that line got back up. But you got to get your preference, whether you like early money or late money. But I love that thought of limits go up, the big boys come out.
Exactly. Yeah. Thursday, there's always a lot of movement.
Yep.
Today is the day. And like, if you can get in early on Thursday, this goes to what your like strategy is. If you can get in early on Thursday, you can really catch a good number. And obviously you're going to get burned sometimes too.
Yes.
But because Thursday is such a big day when those limits increase, like you can really catch some good numbers on Thursdays.
And the crazy thing about that good number is that's always not a great thing. You know, like if you would have caught that good 1.5 or 1 when it got down there for Atlanta, it's only good if it comes back your way, right? And but if it comes back your way that way, that's telling you you've got that money. But you got to watch it sometimes, because that good number sometimes just means the money's on the other side.
A good number is a winning number, Mike. That's all that we care about.
Let's go with that right there. Well, but that gets to the argument that you have people that are staunch believers on closing line value, and I track my closing line value. I'm one of them. And then the other people say, I don't care about my closing line value. I just care about my winning percentage. But the thing is, they really do, in the end, they're going to correlate. If you have a good closing line value average, you're going to be a winning bettor. It's just they do go hand in hand, but some people just don't even care about it. They just like to count their cash.
The other thing I was going to bring up too, I don't know, and I should have brought this up last week. Are you a Scott Van Pelt sport? You're in bed by the time Scott Van Pelt's on TV.
Thank you very much.
What am I talking about? So you know his bad beat segment?
Yeah, I love bad beats. Yep.
Okay. Usually that segment is like 4 or 5 games. I was on the right side of 4 of the games he featured in that last week.
That's crazy.
Like, it was the USC game. Wisconsin was covering basically that whole game. They won. There was the South Florida Tulane. That game should have went over no problem. And I didn't know this because I was not watching this game. Tulane knelt it out at the 1 yard line with 2 minutes left.
Thank you.
For that under to hit. And then there was one other one. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it was just a bunch of bad beats, and I was on the right side of all of them.
That's a lucky week. Hey, that's a lucky week. Luck's got to be on your side. I love it. There's a guy I follow on Twitter that puts out his 4 top bad beats and stuff, and I always watch it. Something like, if it was something that I was involved in, I'd write it down for the show. This week was nothing I was involved in, so I was very thankful for that.
That's such a great segment too. I'm a huge SVP guy. So speaking of bad beats, good beats, all that stuff, you want to get into what we had last weekend in college first and then NFL?
Yeah, let's get onto these show bets. Let's get this garbage that I had out of the way, so we can get on to some good stuff.
K-State, absolutely, like, that game was never going to be under. Like, that game was horrible. K-State and Oklahoma State. That was a brutal.
That game was awful. I tried to watch a little bit of it, and I mean, I tell you what, K-State came out in the end, and they every time I went, they were driving down, and I am
done with anything. There's 2 teams I'm done with. I'm not touching any of their games because I have no read on them at all this year. It's K-State, or not K-State. It's Oklahoma State, and it's Utah. I can't Utah because of the quarterback situation.
Yes.
And Oklahoma State is so inconsistent. It is insane. I'm just done with their games. I can't do it anymore.
Fair. That's fair. You got to cross some of them off your board.
Michigan, I mean, was that first half they were dominant. I texted you, I mushed myself. I said I don't know how this team is going to score.
Yeah.
Talking about Minnesota.
Yep.
The under looked great in the first half. Everything was rolling good, and then it just wasn't. But if you put it like, this is what we've talked about before, I would bet that again.
Okay.
I think Michigan minus 10, not the under, but Michigan I would take again 100%.
Yeah. And what the thing that I've learned real fast, because odds are I'm going to be on an under well before the over. The saying is, it's not under till it's over. And that was that game. I was watching that game, and I was just it was setting football back. I mean, it was just an ugly offensive game. Couldn't do anything until they didn't. And then it was over. And there you go.
Louisville, Notre Dame. I would bet Louisville again. Like, they had some bad turnover luck in that game. They let up some explosives that they normally don't. I think plus 6.5. I like me personally. I wish I would have bought it to 7 for at least a push, because
Yeah.
I did bet this at 6.5, so that was tough.
Yeah.
But for the over under too, I mean, I don't think, because I did take that under with you.
Yeah.
I
And it
did
was
end up
what?
taking it.
What was it? 21-7 at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah.
Like I when I have that, I don't need to know anything.
But that
more.
goes back to what I was saying with the explosives. Like, it was out of character for Louisville. I like Louisville a lot this week, and I think they're favored by 6.5. We'll talk about that game more later. But Ohio State rolled that game. I didn't have eyes on this game because it was on Peacock, and I was absolutely locked in to Alabama, Georgia. I don't know how much of Alabama, Georgia you watched.
Well, I mushed that game for everybody, because right around the end of the third quarter, I'm like, why am I staying awake for this? This is an ass kicking, and I turned it off and missed everything.
That was I thought about it. So my NFL Sunday was me thinking about Georgia, Alabama. I'm not even joking. Like, that game was so awesome. That was 3 games in one game. Like, legitimately.
Yeah.
It was absolutely awesome. I was over at a buddy's house watching it, and it was same thing. Like, halftime hit, and he has YouTube TV, so we went to the quad box, and we had like it was Clemson, Stanford, Iowa State, and Penn State and Illinois. Like, we had all 4 on, and then I was like, it was like halfway through the third quarter, and that's when it like started to pick up a little bit. Georgia was moving the ball a little bit, so we just went full screen to that, and like, it was like me and like 5 buddies, and we were just locked in on that game, and it was awesome.
I had a good night's sleep. That's all I know.
That's great. I'm happy for Penn State probably should have like won by more, but I think that they were just trying to get out of that game. Illinois is a scrappy team. They're going to be, that was probably a mistake on my part. Illinois is going to stay in games just because of the style they play and the type of defense they play. So that one I would not bet again. Also the over in Ohio State, Michigan State, I would 100% bet again. If Michigan State would just stop turning the damn ball over, then that would have hit without a problem. So, on to the NFL. NFL was a little bit better for me this week.
Not so much for this guy.
We're just a little backwards right now.
Yeah, this was ugly on my part. But again, I'll say it. I said it off there. I'll say it on the air. When I don't have games in my account, there's a reason they're not in my account, is because I don't see the numbers. I don't like the game. So I'm going to take a stab at it. It's just not necessarily, that's not my betting style. So I'm going to have weeks like this. I'll probably have worse, but hey, it happens.
Minnesota like came out and rolled, and then that game got close at the end, and I was kind of sweating that out a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming.
No. And then Tampa, like, that game was never. I think Philly might be just dead.
That's
but like I said, that was for like legitimate, like I said, football reasons. You got your 3 of your 5 best players out.
Yeah, and when I took that, I was saying their defense, Philly's defense, offense, that whole team is broken. I just didn't expect Tampa to go hog wild on that one, but hey, I took a shot.
Yeah. Buffalo, that game was never close, and that over should have hit. 45, the total is 46.5. Like again, I would bet that again, but Buffalo, that was a tough spot for them. I felt good about it, and I was completely wrong, and that's fine. I can deal with that. Lamar is like turning it on, and I knew it was dead the first play from scrimmage when Derrick Henry broke that long. I knew it was over. I was done.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It was a crazy week. It was a really weird week, and that was one of them. I mean, this next game, this Tennessee Miami game, that was
okay. Awesome. That under should have hit
Yeah.
I didn't. Okay, you know, we were talking about SportsCenter. I watched SportsCenter after the Lions game. They acted like this game didn't even happen.
Oh,
I'm not even kidding. They did not show a single highlight from this game. And obviously the Lions Seahawks game was incredible. So I understand like focusing on that game, but I forgot this game happened. Like legitimately, I was watching SportsCenter and they did not talk about it. They did not show a highlight from it. Nothing. So I didn't know what happened until the next day. And I didn't know about like the safety and the punt and all that stuff. Like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's what killed my under. That's what did it. It was brutal. So
the only reason I watched any of this game was because of that. I had that free bet, and I told you I was going to throw it on first touchdown was going to be a Billy Blue Jeans pick six. It almost happened as you were just getting home. That almost happened. But I was also intrigued because I was battling between the defensive touchdown or no touchdowns in this game at all. So I really needed a touchdown just to save my face of not taking that bet. So I was glad they at least scored. But once that happened, I paid no attention to that game.
And I'm officially the Seattle game turned me. I'm officially no longer going to be betting against the Lions every week. That game, the offense clicked finally. That was my reason for taking the under, like 100%. That offense 100% clicked. That game was wild. It was incredible. Everything was rolling. Obviously, like it's been talked about all week how great Jared Goff was in that game. Everything. You know what's crazy? That game, like I feel like normally NFL games, like you get like 2-3 days where people are still talking about it. But this week, that game happened, and by 5 o'clock Tuesday, everyone had like forgotten about it because of the Tigers.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's like
a beautiful
and
thing.
now there are. I think for Detroit sports fans, the bye week came at a perfect time. Everyone can just lock in on the Tigers.
Absolutely, which is great, right? We're going to have this incredible run once this round starts. Don't have to worry about the Lions. We don't have to worry about the Red Wings or anything else going on. Solely a baseball town is going to be great. But with the Lions, I think Lions fans should be extremely excited about this game. This was the first game that made sense this year. This was the offense that everyone said that they were going to have, and the defense too. You know, the defense at them, and this was that first. It's the first game that they've had that's gone over. So
the only thing with the defense that they still gave up so many first downs.
But that's my point. That it was going to be the weak point of it. We weren't going to get these unders, and you're going to have to count on this defense. Now you don't have to count on the defense, and they were who they are. That is who they are.
On the positive for the defense, you didn't have Brian Branch. You didn't have. There was someone else that was out as well. I can't remember off the top of my head now. The safety, Melifonwu. So, like, you were missing two big pieces of your secondary. So that obviously played a part in those points. But, I mean, the defense was playing bend, don't break 100%.
Yeah.
And it broke a little, but it didn't completely break.
But this team's going to need that off. This is that Jared Goff bet that I have. This is the offensive week they're going to have to be.
That bet might be alive. It might not be dead.
It came back down. It's down to 20-1. So, and I haven't checked it lately, but right after that game, that went back down to 20-1. So he's back on the board at least.
Hey, you know, there's highs and lows. It's a roller coaster. You throw a perfect game though, that's going to help a little bit.
Oh, absolutely, and catch a touchdown. Come on, that shines all the light on him.
He had late hands on that, everything. It was incredible.
Oh yeah, like he didn't throw him up. That guy didn't know what was going on.
So I'm officially off the Lions hater train. Everyone can, and I'm happy about it. So that's good. So you know, real quickly, we can just show the numbers. Todd, it's ugly for Blake. Mike's not that ugly. Blake, very ugly.
I'm back in the red, but we're all right.
Are you betting any baseball real quick before we move on to this week's games? Are you in on any of it? I've just been blind betting the Tigers every day.
Yeah, you had said that last time. Now, what I did, I was trying to do a big favor for the Tigers because in the 9th inning, I was waiting for a huge number in game 1 on the Astros. And it got to 22-1 in the 9th inning. And my fat thumb wasn't fast enough and I missed it. So I didn't take it. But that was about all I was going to do. I was going to try to save the Tigers by taking the Astros, which would blow them up and it would have been over with.
You're trying to sacrifice yourself.
Yes, I was. I was throwing myself under the bus for Tigers fans. But other than that, I won't have any baseball.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've just been taking Tigers money line and just rolling it over.
Mm-hmm.
So
and why not keep going? Right. I mean, the train's gonna stop at some point, so you just have to know when. When you're doing the rollover, you just have to know when.
It's also very weird that like Monday's game is like a 4:00 start.
Yeah.
So like I don't even. For you, that's probably great.
Perfect. I was just going to say perfect because the 2:30 starts screwed me up because I'm at work and then I'm driving and I don't get home to like the 4th or 5th inning. So once the 4:00, I can get home and I can get right on the deck.
Eric, if it's Yanks Tigers in the championship series, what do you do? Are you Yanks all the way? Because clearly it says Yanks a couple times in the chat. So, like, which way? Where's your rooting power at there? Are you going Yanks or Tigers? That's what I need to know. Because I mean, the Yankees basically revived the Tigers season. Because if you think about it, it all goes back to that game, that Cooperstown game.
Yeah.
And you're talking, I know nothing about baseball. Okay. I've been very clear. I've been very open and honest about that. I'm excited to watch this Tigers team. Like it's a fun watch right now. I don't know half the guys. I don't pretend to, but I'm like invested. I just am enjoying watching like winning baseball. It's fun.
I'm excited to get back to baseball, and because I won't, if they're bad, I just won't even watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
I've always said when they're back in it, and you've never been over at some point, Blake, you're going to be over. We're going to have a little barbecue. You know how me and Sean do it, and you'll see. I built a screened-in deck, and that deck was built on the Tigers because me and a buddy used to sit out on my deck and listen to it on a little transistor radio every night, drinking some beers. But the mosquitoes would get so bad, we would have to cut it short, and we liked doing that. So I screened in my deck so we didn't have to worry about the mosquitoes. I can't wait to get back to it. My neighbor came over, and I said, it's been a while since we've watched a Tiger game on this deck. So it hadn't been on for a long time. So it was good to see
TV out there and everything.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, come on. I've got the Lindsey Muskies going. I've got the Tigers going. I got some football going. Come on.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
All right. You ready? Are you ready to get into these picks for the week? Not locks. Locks. The locks are coming, but these are just the 5 biggest matchups in college and NFL. We're going to start with college.
Yep.
And
so I'll save my little tidbits. This
is not a great slate.
No, it's not. But I'll save my. I just gotta save my tidbits till we do our locks.
Yes,
because that's when I want to give some tips to these people out here so they can make their own informed choices and make their own money. But yeah, so it was a tough slate, but I think you did a good job putting these together, Blake. I like it.
It's not a great slate, but that's where craziness happens in college football.
Yeah,
we might see an upset. We might see something happen.
Yes.
And the other thing is obviously the Tigers play Saturday. So with it not being a great slate for people that want to be invested in that, or if they only have one TV, you know, you got that going for you. And MSU playing on Friday too, like that like Michigan State fans, that just opens up your Saturday completely. This is a great apple picking weekend.
Oh, I like it.
Or if you got some fall chores you need to handle. The leaves haven't quite fallen yet. That's when I get into trouble. When the leaves, I have a huge maple tree in my backyard, like giant. Okay. And all the leaves fall in my backyard from this tree. I think I had 17 bags, and I don't have a big yard. I have a very small yard. I had 17 bags last year.
Oof. Yeah, I just blow them into the street. You're nice, Blake. I blow them into the street and let my neighbors worry about it.
I can't get them from where, like, I would just be blowing them directly into my neighbor's yard.
Yeah, there we go. Let him deal with it.
I do hate my neighbor on the one side. Can't stand him. We got some beef there. I don't think he's listening, but I hope he's listening because I can't stand that ass.
Oh, I like controversy.
So when I Todd, take the games off for a second. I have to talk about this real quick because Mike will understand and respect this. We're going off the rails. So when I moved into this house 2 years ago now, we bought the house. Like I said, we have the big tree in the back. That tree's healthy, fine. It's a beautiful tree. Love it. Provides shade. I don't have central air as has been talked about on these airwaves. So the tree provides shade for the back of the house. The front of the house, there was a half dead tree when I moved in. Okay. But it was still like somewhat alive, so I wasn't worried about it. I was like, whatever. And it's right on the property line. Okay. So when I moved in a couple months later, the city came by and was like, hey, this tree has to come down. Ooh. Like I said, it's literally on the property line. It's straddling both sides of the property line. So they put a notice on my door. They put a notice on my neighbor's door. Okay.
Yep.
I contacted tree companies, everything, because this neighbor is like, I don't want to disparage him too much, but you can tell this guy's not a very active person. So I contacted the tree services, got it, because he didn't like reach out to me or anything. My neighbor, like I'd seen him, wave to him, whatever, seen his wife outside. So I did all the work, got a bunch of quotes, found a really good quote. And I go over to the neighbor. I say, hey, I knock on the door. Hey, I want to talk to you about this tree we have to get taken down. First thing that comes out of his mouth, not my tree, not my problem. I said, excuse me? Like, the tree's on the property line. He's like, I didn't plant it. The previous owner of your house planted it. That's how long that this family's been at this house for, mind you. Right. They built the house. They've been there since like the 60s or something like that. It's his wife's like family home. So I'm like, you're joking, right? Like, I didn't plant the tree either, jackass. I've been here for like a year. So I got such a good quote. I just paid for the tree to get removed, but the original quote I got was for like, it was like $3,000 to get this tree taken down. I got it done for $1,200, so I just paid for it. But I was ready to take the guy to court. Like, I was that pissed off. Like, you're not going to split the cost of me having, like, we had to get it taken down or I was going to get a ticket. And he wouldn't split it. So I hate the guy. I can't stand it. So I do blow things into his yard very frequently.
Oh, absolutely.
Grass clippings, all that stuff.
There's consequences for your actions. If that's what they're going to do, that's what they're going to get. They're going to get leaves on there. I'm on Team Blake on that one.
So there's my rant about
the tree. You got to be.
I can't stand the neighbor. All right. I'm sorry.
That's all right. But now we're on. Now we're back. We're on.
Oh, I'm back now. All right. MSU at Oregon on Friday night. Oregon minus 23.5. The over-under is 52.5. You know what I'm not off of? My MSU hater shit.
There we go.
I am taking Oregon minus the 23.5. Skydog, I see what you're saying about Oregon. And if you told me that 2 weeks ago, I would not disagree with you at all. Yep. This Oregon team is rolling now. You want to talk about a bad beat from last week? I had Oregon minus the 25.5 or whatever, and they had a chance to score at the end, and they didn't, and I was not happy about that. But that was a bad football number. This is a good football number, 23.5. I think Oregon's going to cover this spread. It's a lot of travel, too, for MSU on a shorter week. I know it's only by a day, but still, Oregon in the spot. I really like this Oregon team. I picked them to win the national championship before the season.
Yeah.
I think they roll against MSU.
All right, Blake, tell me, where is Michigan State's coach? Where did he coach last year?
Oregon State.
Okay, just one.
That's very. I didn't even think about the revenge factor we have here.
So we've got. I'm with you, Sky Dog. I'm with you. This line opened up at 24.5 and was quickly dropped down to 23.5, and that's because with only 42% of the bets, but 68% of the money was on Michigan State. That's what moved that line. That's what's got me going with Michigan State plus the 23.5. The public sees this as an easy cover. They ran. This is the 6th ranked team. A lot of the reasons that you gave there, those football reasons, Blake, are why a majority of the bets are with Oregon. And you're right. They are coming on there. But let's put that revenge factor in there. Michigan State, a quiet little revenge, 23.5.
I also have I'll save this story for off the air. Off the air, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I have a Jonathan Smith story that I will tell you after the show ends. So
Okay.
that also may be playing into this. Missouri at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is favored by 2.5. The over under here is 48.5. I think this is the only ranked on ranked matchup of the week in college football. The fact that Texas A&M is ranked to me is an absolute joke, but that's just SEC bias in the AP poll. Yep. Mike, you can start it off on this one.
All right, but I'm going to go right with those rankings. And this one pains me because I love Mizzou. I've wanted to bet on Mizzou. We've talked about the coach and what the coach likes to do. He ain't going to beat you. He's going to slaughter you. He's going to put up the points. That's what they want to do. And I think the majority of people, the public, see that. They see the higher ranked team in Missouri, the team that a lot of people would like to see in the playoffs, and they think it's going to be an easy cover. They're getting the points, right? They think the wrong team's favored. However, with only 30% of the bets, this line has flipped. And when we go, it's been all Texas A&M move. I got two things going on here. But here, this gets back to that trend I brought up last year. When 2 ranked teams play, the home team is hitting at 59% against the spread, 67% straight up. This one fits right into that. I'm going with Texas 100%. A&M minus the 2.5. I keep thinking they went from dog to fave because that's what everything looks like here, but it didn't. They just opened up, I believe, at about 1.5, and it's been all moved towards Texas A&M, even though there's only 30% of the bets, and that's one that I like.
I am going with Missouri. I just don't think Texas A&M is like Texas A&M has been a lot better since I believe that their starting quarterback got injured, Connor Wegman, and now they're on the backup, and their offense has looked a lot better since then. And I'm still waiting for Missouri to like really show up and show like what their offense is fully capable of. I don't think that they've played like an A game yet. Like their early games were kind of just sleepwalks and they were still able to blow teams out. But I like Missouri in the spot. It's a big game for Texas A&M, and you combine Texas A&M and big game, and I'm just not going to roll with that. I will take Missouri. I like their coach a lot, like you said. So this is a game I would not touch. Like personally, this would be a stay away from me because it's kind of like that Auburn-Oklahoma game last week. Like, I just don't have a good read on either of these teams. I'm very interested to watch it and see how it plays out. And it might be something like last minute I get a better read on, maybe on the total or something like that. But if I had to pick something right now, it would be Missouri.
Yeah. I don't have it in my account either, but because it kind of toggled back and forth a little bit with that line. As soon as I get that, I shy away from it. But here we go.
Iowa at Ohio State. Ohio State is favored by 20.5. The over/under is 45.5. Obviously, we saw what Ohio State did last week to Michigan State. Michigan State could have been more in that game without those turnovers. I was going to do Iowa things. If this game was at Iowa, I would feel very different about it.
Yeah.
But it being at the shoe changes things a little bit. The other thing I was going to touch on, I really am trying to shy away from taking both the side and the total in these picks because I'm getting burned by it. but this is one where I'm taking both. I like Ohio State and I like the over. Iowa's defense is still very good. It's not vintage Iowa defense, and Iowa's offense has been scoring more this year. I don't know how many they'll score against Ohio State this week, but they're still more competent on offense. So that's why I like both of these numbers. 45.5 in an Ohio State game, too, is a very low number. Their numbers are usually in the 50s, and that's respect to Iowa's defense. But I just don't think Iowa's defense is as good as it's been in the last few years. And I think Ohio State is the far superior team. Like, at every single position, their athletes just out-athlete everything Iowa will put on the field.
I agree. And if I were the feel better, if I bet like you, I'd be all over that over too, because I still think the books are slow to adjust. They've done a better job with some of these over-unders in Iowa games, but they're still trying to figure out what's going on here. Iowa's scoring points. So I do think that over-under is a little bit low, but that's not where I'm going. I'm going to go the public here with wow, Blake, a whole 72% of bets are with Ohio State. They think this is going to be an easy cover for the Buckeyes. And I think the public is also kind of slow, like the books, thinking like, hey, Iowa can't even score a point. Iowa's going to get shit out here. This is going to be an easy cover. But despite only 28% of those bets, this line briefly hit for a second 21, but it slammed back down to 20.5, and it's been frozen there. I'm taking the points at 20.5 in Iowa, and I'm going to lay my trust in this newfound Iowa offense.
Cade McNamara, that's who you trust right now.
Yeah,
that's what you got.
Here we go. Some stinkers. I like stinkers.
Michigan at Washington. Washington is favored by 2.5. This line I think this opened up as Michigan favored, correct?
Yes, they did. Yes,
they were favored. Did. I want to say by 1.5, and it's moved all the way to Washington 2.5. Yep. Over under 41.5. Here's my thing about Michigan this year. I've come to the conclusion of what I'm going to do betting with Michigan this year. If the line is less than a touchdown, I'm going to take Michigan. If it's more than a touchdown, I'm either staying away or I'm taking the other side. Because like last week, Michigan's just going to play in tight games all year. That's all they're going to do. They're just going to play in tight games. It's all going to come down. Like my butthole is going to be clenched every single week from the fan in me. And they're going to be ugly, ugly football games. I'm going to take Michigan plus the 2.5 in this spot. I'm very this will probably be a stay away from me. Actually, like betting wise, but I still think Michigan's a better football team than Washington.
Okay.
I understand what Michigan lost. Michigan's red zone defense will be huge in this game for them because Washington's red zone offense has been horrible. Yeah. Will Johnson's a big piece that if Michigan does not have, I would not feel great about this. But Michigan plus the 2.5. I got to roll with my boys. Okay. And like I said, anything under a touchdown, like either way, basically. Yeah. I'm just going to.
And you've got Skydog on your side there. He's pulling for a 23-13 win.
That's an under, too.
Yeah, he is totally 100%. He's on Team Blake. We're battling this week, so I've got to go against you. The public loves themselves some Wolverines. They can't believe that Washington is favored. They think the wrong team is favored, and at the tune of 81% of bets, they're hammering on the Wolverines. However, like you said, dog to fave. We went from -1.5 Michigan to -2.5 Washington. I love myself some dog to fave. I hate that I didn't catch it early enough, but I'm taking Washington -2.5. And last year I had some money on Penix to win the Heisman. So I watched a little bit of these Washington games, and the environment there is crazy. It is a huge,
very
home field
underrated.
advantage.
Very underrated.
Here's a little known fact, Blake. I saw a Seattle Seahawks Tampa Bay Buccaneers game in this stadium. It's a very cool little stadium. Yeah, when they were building they tore down, what was that, the Superdome out there, or the Kingdom?
Like yeah,
whatever
the Kingdom,
they tore it down. They were building a new stadium. They played at this stadium,
and that's before because they renovated their stadium recently too, because they were playing home games.
Yeah, so this was a long time ago. I saw a Pearl Jam show out there. It was November of 2000, actually.
Wow, beautiful.
It's a huge home field advantage. This is the first time Michigan's flying all the way out there to this game. I really like Washington in this game.
I hope you're wrong. Just for mental health reasons, personally, but I can't really argue it the way Michigan's offense has been. And my Twitter feed is just full of clips of Alex Orji just missing wide open dudes.
Yes.
Like there was the one 2 weeks ago where he missed Morgan just wide the F open. And then last week he missed Donovan Edwards wide that on the pick play, the play where he threw the interception, which that play changed that game entirely. Yeah. Donovan Edwards was wide open streaking down the sideline on that play. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
But that's just and just real quick to comment on what Skydog said. From all the rumors I've heard and from everything that I've read and seen, Jaden Davis will not play this year. From rumors I've heard and seen from my people, my sources, if you want to say, his parents don't want him to play this year. They want him to redshirt. They want him to sit out and learn the offense, learn the system, and hopefully start next year. So I don't think we'll see him at all this year. If anything, we might see Tuttle. The problem is Michigan just doesn't have any receivers, so I don't think it matters who plays quarterback. Yeah. So why not just run with Orji? Because I think Michigan's receivers are trash. That's the conclusion I've come to.
Have you talked yourself into taking Washington yet there? Jeez.
No. I'm just being a negative Michigan fan. That's all it is. Miami at Cal. This game day is going to be at Cal for this game.
Yep. Yes, they are.
Cal Twitter is awesome, and just their fans and everything. Like, I've come full circle on Cal, and like they're fun. They're just a fun team. Obviously, they had the big upset of Auburn earlier this year.
Yep.
Miami's favored by 10.5. We got an over under of 54.5. I will start with this one.
Yep.
Again, I'm just trying to stick to one pick for these games. I like the over in this game. Miami played a crazy game last week that people have argued that they should have lost everything.
Yep.
I don't know. Did you catch the end of that game, or was that past your bedtime?
No, me and you were tweeting. I remember I told you that Miami will burn that field down if they rule this a touchdown.
They tried going full Cristobal on that game, and I was texting Sean about it. I'm like, the Cristobal is happening before our eyes right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably gonna happen at some point. Cristobal will blow a game for them. I think they're a way better football team than Cal, but I think both these teams can score. I like the over in this game, 54.5.
And this could be the game. And I agree with Skydog. Miami is a different monster than Auburn. But you're talking about game day is going to be there. This is a nationally televised primetime game. The Cal fans are going to be out. They're going to be ready. But let's get to my pick here. The public sees as this is going to be an easy cover for the highly ranked, undefeated Miami Hurricanes. They watched last week. Yeah, they squeaked by, but they won that game. And Cal couldn't even beat Florida State, right? They're going to 12.5 is not even enough points. But with only 17% of the bets, so that puts 83% of the bets are on Miami. They think they're going to cover. 17% of the bets. I've seen this line drop as low as 10, Blake. Yeah. I'm taking Cal at 10.5 at home in a nationally televised game. I think they're feisty. I think I'm not going to say they're back, but they're a nice little football team. And I think the environment's going to catapult them to an easy cover here.
And shout out Game Day for going to that game.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. Like, they could have easily said, oh, we're going to go to A&M Mizzou.
Yep.
We're going to go to Kyle Field, even Ohio State, Iowa. Like, they could have easily gone to any of those games. But, I mean, it's their first time going to Cal. Like, that's awesome. Like, that's a great job by them.
And I love this game. This one's actually in my account, Blake, and I grabbed it at the 12.5. So I'm loving this line going down in my favor. So anybody out there, this one's actually in my account.
Beautiful. All right. I have a bunch more college games that I can roll through real quick. And I'll roll through them quickly. And if this is something you like, or you have a number on it or something like that, just yell at me and stop me. All right.
Yep. Gotcha.
So Friday night, Syracuse at UNLV. I like the over in this game, 57.5. UNLV, I think, upgraded with losing that quarterback to the portal. Like, their
100%.
passing game is better now. Syracuse has been able to put up some points this year with the Ohio State transfer at QB, everything. I like the over in this game a lot. The only worry I have is one team gets up big early in the first half and it kind of gets game scripted out. That's the only worry I have with that game, because it is a big number, 57.5. I like Wisconsin minus 13.5, but now I'm forgetting who they're playing. I literally just wrote down Wisconsin. So let me look real quick. Wisconsin's playing Purdue. That's why I ignored. Purdue's horrible. Purdue's the worst team in the Power 5.
Yeah.
Power 4.
And they just got rid of their offensive coordinator, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, they just fired him.
Yeah.
So Wisconsin minus if I'm getting them under a touchdown, and Wisconsin, like I said, they probably should have covered last week against USC. I was not upset about it, but hey, it is what it is. Boston College plus 1.5 at Virginia. I don't really get this line, but when I've said that in the last few weeks, when I don't understand the line, it's worked out. It worked out last week with the Rams with me. It worked out. There was BYU. That one worked out. So these have worked out for me. And Boston College, in my opinion, is a better football team than Virginia. So if I can get them plus 1.5, I will take it. Penn State and UCLA. UCLA is very bad. Oof. Very, very bad.
Woof.
Penn State minus the 28 and give me the over 46.5. I think that Penn State legitimately could put up close to that number on their own.
There you go.
Louisville minus 6.5 versus SMU. Louisville's a good football team. That Notre Dame game was weird. Everything, and I still think SMU is bad.
Yeah, but that's what we say: stick to your guns. You can't. You have to have a short memory. I don't know which one it is. I think I wrote that down. Like, one of these games I took, I'm like, you got to forget what happened last week. Like, you just do, and you have to look at this game and you have to analyze this game, or you stick with your feels. You've had a Louisville feel all year, Blake. You got to go with it.
Auburn, Georgia, over 51.5. I think Georgia's going to be pissed. They're going to want to put up some points after last week. And Auburn's offense has started to look better. I don't want to say it's been good, but it's started to look better. They just need to stick with Peyton Thorne and ride it out. He's going to have some doy plays, whatever.
Yep.
But it is what it is. I like the over in that game. And Georgia's defense is just all over the place. Second half last week, they looked pretty damn good. And then Ryan Williams happened. First half, they looked awful. Indiana minus 13.5 at Northwestern. And I also like the under in that game just because of the wind.
Hey, wonder. Here we go.
Because you know where that stadium they're playing at this year. It's right off the lake. There's just wind coming in all. Like, it might not even be a windy day in Evanston, but at that stadium, No matter what, it is windy.
And we'll say it over and over and over on this show as the year goes along. The only thing that affects it over and under, it's not the rain, it's not the snow, it is the wind. That's it.
100%. And I think Indiana is actually like really good.
They look real good.
Oof. Under 2 touchdowns. I'm very worried about Michigan against Indiana. I'm just going to state that now, get it out there in the public. When Michigan plays Indiana, I'm going to be very, very nervous about that game. Very nervous.
We got time.
If Michigan loses to Indiana, I might be like throwing up. Michigan won a national championship. I'm gonna be okay.
Yes, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right.
Keep telling myself that.
Just put your hat on and you'll be all right.
Oregon State minus 11.5 against Colorado State. Colorado State's very bad at football. As you know, Mike, you've learned.
Yep.
You've learned
right.
through
But here we go. But here we go. You said stop you if I have numbers. You finally hit on one of my games here, and you're going with the public. They're looking at. They see the stronger 3-1 Oregon State team. They see a Colorado State team, and all they can think of, like I can think, is 52-0. I think was that score, right? But despite.
Texas,
But, it's going to be an easy cover, right? That's what you just said. Colorado State stinks. I have to forget what happened in the past and look at these numbers. 37% of the bets, that's it. That's all that Colorado State has, and that line has moved from 14 down to 10.5 I've seen. We've got it. I got it at 12.5. So I've got Colorado State plus 12.5 in that game. That's a little reverse line movement. It shouldn't be.
Now, at what point though you get burned by a team? At what point are you just, no matter the numbers, you're done?
I can't. I've got to.
Okay. I respect that.
The only thing that you'll see me is, for example, when we look at a Utah and the uncertainty of injuries. Or if I think a line move isn't because of a bet, is because of a correction due to an injury or an unknown injury. Those are things that I can't get after, but I have to look because of recency bias. A lot of people will look at those games, and Colorado State's going to form into a nice little cover here at some point because of where the books are going to over compensate for how bad they are. So that's how I try to catch it. I will get burned over and over and over on these things, but if the numbers make sense, I've got to take it.
This might be another numbers one. Clemson minus 14.5 at Florida State.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm not on that.
Florida State is horrible. They might be better now that DJU's hurt, honestly.
Yep. They were saying that only dropped their power ranking by like 1 point. That's it. That's not much at all.
Cade Klubnik is a different quarterback on the road. He really is.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at his statistics, home versus road splits, it's like night and day. It's insane.
Yeah.
I just don't know who's going to be there to root for Florida State. Like that, the fans are pissed at that program right now.
It's getting ugly.
It's really bad. So I will take Clemson minus the 14.5. Tennessee is favored by less than 2 touchdowns at Arkansas. I don't care what the number is. I am taking Tennessee. They are a wagon. They are a world beater.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's your team.
And they're coming off of a bye.
Yeah. That's your team. You've got to go for it. It's just kind of like me.
I mean, and I'm sure the numbers are not in my, like what you say with the numbers is probably not in my favor. You see Tennessee getting less than 2 touchdowns on the road. I don't care. They could be favored by 28. I'm taking them. I love this Tennessee team.
And this is what makes this so great. It's 2 different views on games and stuff like that. Your view is your view, and you've got it. I love it. Love it.
Real quick, last 2. USC minus 8 at Minnesota. This line is very weird, very stinky. That's another one, isn't it?
Here it is, baby. Here it is.
I know you. I knew when I picked this game. I'm like, Mike's gonna have Minnesota 100%.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and for your views are your views, and I like to give a little bit of not what Blake took a look at. You really look at the football side of it, but the public when they're betting. They're seeing they look at last week, USC, a gutty win, right? A gutty win. Minnesota's offense stinks. That's what's going to stick in their mind. Only 23% of the bets are on Minnesota. That's it. People are loving them. What is that? 77%. But this line moved from 9.5 to 8.5. I've got Minnesota plus 8.5 on that one.
And then Iowa State minus 11.5 versus Baylor.
Nope, I'm not in on that one.
Baylor stinks. Skydog, I'm going to respond to Skydog's comment real quick. My teams are Tennessee. I'm now getting real close to Alabama after last week. But Tennessee and Alabama play. That's the only issue that's going on in my brain. Oregon. Oregon is definitely, and then obviously like Michigan. That's my actual fandom. But like the teams that I will go out of my way to watch, I will bet on consistently are really Oregon, Tennessee, Ohio State overs right now. That was
Louisville?
mean. Yeah, probably. Louisville, I do bet on consistently. I really believe in that team, but it's not on the level. Oh, and Texas.
Okay. Yeah.
Texas. But it's really Tennessee, Oregon. No, Penn State, not as much. I didn't like when Penn State plays USC, I'll probably be taking USC. Penn State this week because they're playing a really bad UCLA team. I like Penn State, but they're not a team that I'm like ride or dying with.
All right.
Tennessee is that team for me right now. Nico's awesome. I just can't get that out of my brain.
Yes, that's your team. That's your team. All right,
go for it.
Yeah, I'll say real quick. We went over to Minnesota, the Colorado State, Cal with the show. All right, I'm going to go to the UCF Florida game here. This is another one where public sees an easy win for Florida, the team who easily won last week. They really came up.
UCF coming off of a horrible loss to Colorado.
Yeah. That's what the public sees when people are looking and making those quick bets. With only 41% of the bets, this line has flipped from UCF getting a point to now they're minus 2 points. Dog to fave, Mike's hammering that one all day. UCF minus 2.5. Now the Arkansas State, South Alabama. Let's go. We're watching this game. I'll find it on TV.
The Red Wolves.
Yes. The public sees an easy cover on this, and the line's just way too low. How can South Alabama only be favored by 3.5? They scored 87 points a couple weeks ago. They should be favored by more. But despite only 19% of the bets on Arkansas State, this line is moved to 3.5 from 3 to 3.5, and it stayed there. I'm taking Arkansas State getting the 3.5, and I luckily found the 3.5 and grabbed it.
And Arkansas State's a good team. Remember how close they played Michigan? Come on.
Yep. Come on now. Here we go. And it's one of those, but shop around. Get that 3.5 if you can find it. Just like this next game, my last college game of the week, I shopped around, found it. I'm going to the Hawaii San Diego State team. Hawaii's flying into the mainland, right? The public sees Hawaii, a team that struggles when they fly into the mainland, right? San Diego State, they think that this is going to be an easy cover for the San Diego State team. They think Hawaii's coming in. The Rainbows are done. Only 27% of the bets, but this line has never moved. Well, no, it did move. I'm sorry. It moved from 5 to 2.5. This opened up San Diego State minus 5. It's down to 2.5. That's a reverse line movement that I will bet all day. And I actually took it right before the show because it started to drop to 2. And so I jumped on the 2.5 that I could find. This reverse line movement and dog to fave stuff, that's what I'm digging through these numbers to find. And a lot of people, Blake, sometimes you'll say this line doesn't make sense. That Minnesota line, it doesn't make. Not only does it not make sense, it came in my favor. So now it's even better for you, right? Yeah. They're giving less points. So
you know what's also weird about that game? Because I looked at that game earlier when I was going through games. That's so weird that's an 8:00 start. Because usually San Diego State's playing like 10 o'clock start games. I swear they probably scheduled that earlier just to mess with Hawaii's like clock.
Oh, that gamesmanship, 100%. 100%.
I saw that start time. I was like, that's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
I know TV networks have more influence over game start times now than like they used to, but still, like that's a weird start time for those two teams. Very weird. Because I mean, what is that? That's 5 o'clock local kick. Like that's just weird. I don't know. All right, on to the NFL. A pretty good slate of NFL this week.
Yes.
Pretty good slate.
This was an easy pick of games, I thought.
The primetime games are good this week too. Interesting, I would say. Like Dallas Pittsburgh isn't good, but it's interesting for prime time. But and I texted you and I was like, if there's any NFL games that you like this week, I'll add them to the 5-pack. And you just sent me all 5 games. You were like, these are the games.
Yep. I said, these are the games that like I'm looking at them. I know, like we talked before the show, we want to put them out there. These are probably games that people are going to have money on because we see the names, the Jets and the big game. I have a couple I'm leaning towards, but I think only one I might have in my pocket right now. So that's even more interesting. But these were some good ones. I got some good stuff on them.
Jets at Minnesota. Minnesota is favored by 2.5. The over-under is 40.5. I'm gonna keep riding with Minnesota. I did it last week. They're on a roll. I think I saw some stats about Sam Darnold that aren't exactly in my favor. Like I guess the first month of his season in his career, his numbers are really good, and then they just fall off of a cliff.
Okay.
So that's not great. Skydog 100%. Great matchup in this game with Sauce versus JJ. Like that'll be really fun to watch, kind of the game inside the game, especially with how good Justin Jefferson's been this year. I think he has a touchdown in every single game this year. So if you're looking for a touchdown score, maybe you dabble a little bit on that. But I like Minnesota in the spot minus the 2.5 at home.
And when I was looking and I threw this game out there, this game's in London, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's a London game, so that points also. That's another trend for you. The favorites do real well over there,
and the London unders.
Yes, we go. I love that. I love that. So, however, I can't do that though, right? I'm looking at it. What does the public see? What happened last week? Minnesota shocks everybody by what they did in Green Bay. The Jets help my over 5.5 Denver win total by losing at home. So they think this is going to be an easy cover for the Vikings. They don't think 2.5's enough. That 81% of the people are taking this. 81% of the bets are with Minnesota. This line hasn't budged off this 2.5. It's juiced up like it might start going towards the 3, but they know as soon as it hits 3, someone like myself, that's what I'm waiting for. This is one I'm leaning Jets. I don't have it in my account for the show. I'm taking the Jets plus 2.5, but I'm sitting and I'm waiting to find a 3 in one of my accounts. And right now it's juiced to Minnesota, and that juice is creeping up.
I think one of the books that you use has it at 3 right now, just so you know. Do you use Caesars?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. And Caesars is one that you'll find is usually on that end of things.
Yeah, Caesars has it plus 3 minus 120 right now. But literally everywhere else, it's at 2.5.
But this is something that people do have to take a look at. So when you tell me it's plus 3 minus 120, it's really still 2.5.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That with the advancements in betting and all these alt line, that's an alt line number to be honest. So that would be one that I would see that, and I would still think that's a 2.5, and I would wait for it to get closer to that minus 110 before I take it. But just so to be
DK has it at plus 2.5 minus 102.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like it's getting there. Yeah. It's getting to where that 3 might pop up, and I'll wait. I mean, I'll be up before that game kicks at 9:30, so that'll be one I'm leaning, but I'm waiting for that 3 for the Jets before I take it.
Baltimore at Cincinnati, the Fighting Joe Burrows. He's back. Looked great last week. That offense started to roll a little bit. Baltimore is favored by 2.5 at Cincy. Mike, you go ahead. Start with this one.
Even at Cincy, people are looking at this and they're thinking, hey, that's not enough points, right? The Ravens are on a roll. Look what they did to Buffalo. They smoked them. This line jumped real quick from 1 to 2.5. This is a reason I didn't take this one in my account. However, I can't go with the team that has 79% of the bets, right? I mean, it's sitting there and it's frozen at this 2.5. They see the Bengals struggles. Now, this is another one. These divisional games, what do I have? When 65% of the bets are on one team in a divisional game, they're only hitting at 40%. And that ticked me over the edge to the Bengals plus 2.5. I'm going to watch this game. I'll be watching this game. I wouldn't put any money on this game. I just don't know what's going to happen, and my numbers don't add up. But I'm going to go with the Bengals 2.5 for the show.
You know what I'm taking.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Bengals and the over.
Double time.
Over. Wait, did I say
time.
I have to double check what I sent? I might have sent Todd the wrong thing. Todd, I'm going to double check right now because I looked this over. I think I want the over. I'm going to look right now.
And while you're looking, this is another one that I'll say, if people are out there thinking that they like the Bengals for whatever reason, their football reasons or their numbers make sense.
I sent you under. That's my bad, Todd.
Hold out for the 3, people. You'll find it somewhere. It will. With the rate that the money and everything's coming in on the Ravens, this is going to have to move to 3 at some point.
Todd, just take off the total. I'm not going to take a side on that. I need to stay disciplined. I need to stay disciplined.
The new Blake.
Just give me the Bengals. Just give me the Bengals, and that's it. I'm going to take it off my sheet here too. Everything. Nothing. I'm not going to touch the total because I sent a text that said under, but I'm also thinking I like the over. That's not a good sign for anything. So I'm sorry, Todd, for doing that to you. Todd, I like creating more work for Todd, and Todd hates me because of it. Is that factual, Todd? So real quick, Todd's working on that graphic. Is there any other numbers that you were kind of looking at? Any other trends that you were looking at for this week before we jump into that next game? Before we jump into Bills,
trends, absolutely. I love my Mackinnon. Steve Mackinnon and his son AJ put out some trends. If you guys can find them out there, this gets into the Jet game. The teams that lose while allowing less than 12 points the week before are 84% against the spread the next week. That hits on the Jets, losing last week while only giving up 12 points. Now here's a real good one here, Blake. This is going to get your motor running in a lot of different ways and make some people say, wow. Boise State is 10-1 against the spread, 91% when favored by 20 or more points against a Mountain West opponent. Okay. That's not the craziest one, right? They're playing Utah State. Utah State is only 28% against the spread when they're in a revenge spot playing a team that they lost to the next year, right? Mm-hmm. Wow, that's real. Listen to these numbers on what they think that this Boise State, like whether you're saying, hey, that's a lot of points, listen to what they think Boise State's offense is going to do. And Ashton Genty, to be specific, his over-under in yards, Blake, do you know what it is?
I'm assuming it's around 250.
Okay, so you're a little heavy. It's 191 at a minus 115. I've never seen it.
He's so good. So good.
Just wait. You love anytime touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
You want to take him for an anytime touchdown, Blake?
I'm assuming it's like minus 400.
Minus 3,500.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, no, Blake. That's not crazy. 3 touchdowns, minus 155.
Oh my God. That's not even worth parlaying.
No. I mean, that is absolutely insane numbers of what that guy is doing.
He might break Barry's record. He's that good.
I mean,
He's
that's what everything
legitimately
is trending towards. He went from 150 to 1 to 10 to 1 in the Heisman race. I mean, he's got. I don't know if he's going to have a big enough win. They're going to have to make the playoffs for him to get close.
Exactly. If they make the playoff, he has a legitimate shot. I think he's going to New York. As long as he plays the rest of the season, I think he's going to New York. I think it's a 3-man race right now between Milroe, Hunter, and Genty.
Yes.
In my opinion.
And that's a good point. But if you go, I laid out a couple for that because I was really involved in this market last year. And all you have to do is wait for somebody to have a big win. And that's what happens. If Bo Nix wins against Washington in the Pac-12 championship, that he wins the Heisman, right? He doesn't. It doesn't happen. So I wrote down, and your boy from Tennessee, they beat Alabama. That could be that game. And he's dropped down, Blake. You might want to dabble. I think he dropped down to about 18 to 1.
I know.
So that's a number that's going to jump, and you'll have value.
I want it to be Travis Hunter. I really like. I am not a Colorado fan. I don't pretend to be. That is not one of my teams, Skydog. Not one of my teams, Colorado. But one of my guys is Travis Hunter. He played like 136 snaps last week in Florida. It was like 106 degrees.
Yeah.
And he played like every play and had over 100 yards receiving and that pick. He's awesome.
Yes.
He's the best. He is the best college football player right now.
It's going to take some big wins by Colorado to put up there. He's at 7 to 1. I don't think there's any value with him right now. Yeah. But with that, I mean, if those numbers are what they think he's going to do against Utah State, it fits right into that 10-1 against the spread when they're favored by 20 or more points against the Mountain West. So that if people are looking at that Boise State, there's a little betting evidence for you.
Boise State and parlay it with Genty 3+ touchdowns, and maybe you'll get plus 105.
Oh yeah, right. Which is so unbelievable, unbelievable.
All right, back to the NFL slate. Thank you, Todd, for fixing that.
Thank you, Todd.
Just the Bengals plus the 2.5. Next game, Bills Texans. I will start with this one. I don't have a great beat on either of these teams. What Skydog said about CJ, like, yeah, that team's been very inconsistent offensively, and you would think with all the weapons they have, they would be consistent. Maybe it's just Diggs. This is also a Diggs revenge spot, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of plays into it. Like, he's going to want to have a big game against his former team. And that's part of the reason why I like the over in this game. Over the 47.5. I think both these offenses can score. Houston's defense has also been kind of inconsistent this year. Buffalo's run defense has been horrible this year. So give me the over in this game, 47.5. This is one I will play. Like, I will be betting the over in this
game. And for the reasons you just gave is why 77% of the bets are on that over right there. But tell me, with only 23% of the bets, this immediately went down. This was immediately bet down. This was down at 46.5. And me and you had a conversation earlier about early money and late money, right? I tend to like early money. My guy Josh Applebaum likes that late money because that's when limits open up. But I take the early money because who is betting when those lines come out Sunday night? It's not you. It's not me. The smart guys, they know what they're doing. So that immediately that line went down to 46.5 with only 23% of the bets, but a ton of money. I'm taking under 47.5.
And is this one that will be on your card bet?
It will not, because it's going like this.
Okay.
The earlies and the lates are going when the early bettors and the late bettors are fighting. I let them fight it, and they can have that game. But with that early money, that would be one. It was on my board, but then what I do is I give it a little bit of time for some late money to come in. When the late money comes in, I'm off.
Gotcha. Cowboys at Steelers.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh is favored by 2.5. The over-under here is 43.5.
Yeah.
This, and Mike, you can go first with this game, but this game is two things clashing in my head. Okay. We talked about this briefly last week. Yeah. I love Pittsburgh as a dog, and I hate them as a favorite. Always. There you go. Always. You but go. Also, Dallas is just Dallas. Mm-hmm. So, like, you want them to win a bit. Like, they somehow screw everything up. So, I have a lot of things battling in my head right now, but I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, I tend to agree. This one's actually in my account. When this line opened at Steelers -1, a lot of people had the same feeling. A, it's America's team, so you've got 67% of the people betting on the Cowboys. B, a lot of people like them as dogs, but not as favorites, right? So they only had 33% of the bets going with the Steelers, but it's moved from -1 to -2.5. That's a bet that I'll take all day. I'm sad that I missed the one. I don't get that. I go to bed early on Sunday. By the time I wake up, this was at 2.5. I've had this in my account for a while. I'm taking the Steelers at -2.5 for the show and in my account.
I can't take the Steelers as favorites.
Yeah.
It's like it's been just beaten into my brain. They are just not. And I should have looked up the numbers on this before the show just to match your numbers. But I need to look up what the Steelers like record is against the spread as favorites versus as dogs. I need to look that up. I will have that for next week. I'm taking Dallas, and I'm also taking the under 43.5. It's just primetime under. The under is definitely something I will play. Dallas, that will be kind of, I don't know. I'll probably end up taking him, knowing me and how I am, but under for sure will be taken by me. And last game, New Orleans at Kansas City. Kansas City is favored by 5.5, and the over/under is 43.5. I will start with this one. You don't make money betting against Patrick Mahomes. I've said this many times on this show.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes is final. He is inevitable. I understand everything with their receivers and everything that's been going on with them this year. They still have not played their best game. They have all those injuries. I don't care. I'm still taking Kansas City minus the 5.5. And I'm also taking the under because of all the injuries and everything. Kansas City's defense is still really good. Really, really good. That part of their team is still healthy. It's just the offense has been sputtering.
All right. So just real quick, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think this has got to be all time because this is like a million games, but they're 50.3% as favorites.
Okay.
So it's fair enough.
I need to look at under Tomlin.
Yeah. So it's very this Chiefs game is very interesting to me. I don't have it in my pocket right now because it's toggled between 5 and 5.5. This could be the first time that I really can remember that that Patty Mahomes is not the public side. Like this was very strange when I had to really look at this a couple of times with the line movement and everything. You just got to see, where did you get it to open? Did you see it opening at 5? Did you see it opening at 5.5? Because if you've seen it open at 5.5, it got bet down to 5. So that would throw me off. Then when I looked and there was only 36% of the bets on Patrick Mahomes, I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen that, but people are down on Patrick Mahomes. He hasn't looked good. How he's the front runner for the MVP, I don't know. I get it that they're undefeated. And there's something that I'll state after this that speaks more to Kansas City than to Patrick Mahomes. But for the show, I'm taking the Chiefs at -5.5. I'm going to take a look at this one a little bit more. And by Monday night, this one could be in my account. That's where I'm leaning. And a quick story is I remember when I first started really getting heavy into betting, for me, Kansas City was an automatic bet on Monday night because of the crowd. And it was this big home field advantage. But if you have to remember, though, back then, Blake, there was no Patrick Mahomes. This wasn't the Joe Montana times. They had some bad teams. They had some quarterbacks go through there that weren't so great. So they were a lot of times underdogs at home. And Kansas City, an underdog at home on Monday night. So it kind of warms my heart and brings me back to my younger days when I see Kansas City playing on Monday night. So for the show, I've got the Chiefs -5.5. I might have them by Monday night. I don't know.
All right, so I have some numbers for you. And
Thank you.
And I'm right, by the way, under Tomlin.
Okay.
So as a favorite, they are 88, 97, and 2, 47%.
Mm-hmm.
As a dog, they are 58, 31, and 3, 64%.
Oh, yeah. He is a dog when he's an underdog.
Exactly.
He's
so
what he's known for.
I like and obviously against the spread, his total record, he's 53.5%. But as a favorite, he has a losing record against the spread, and as a dog, he has a winning record. So I like that. I understand what you're saying trends wise, but my pick also goes with a trend.
100%.
We can always find a trend that helps our pick.
Yes, 100%, and that's why we bet. I know Todd's pulling his hair out and he wants to kill us for how long we've gone, but he
just left. He left. He's done.
I love it. So to get back onto it, have you ever heard of Michael Lombardi?
Yes,
he's he's unbelievable. I love listening to his podcast. I read all of his articles. He makes some great football points. He's my football guy. I go to him to read about football stuff. I mean, he's with Belichick. He was with Walsh. Yeah. He's with all those names. This guy knows what he's talking about. And I think I sent the text to you last week about my bets hate the fourth quarter. I have been jail sexed in the fourth quarter all year, and it's happening. And he wrote an article, and it was basically you should look at how your team does in the fourth quarter before you lay a bet. And he gave two examples. One of them is the Jaguars, 0-4. They're awful. He says your teams need to be able to possess the ball, get first downs, and score in the fourth quarter if you want to bet on them. Yeah. The Jaguars have 3 points in the fourth quarter all year. They've been in position to win 3 games in the fourth quarter, and they've lost them all. On the other end, the team we just talked about, the Kansas City Chiefs, are 4-0, and you can go right to that San Diego game. 10-10 going into the fourth quarter, and Patrick Mahomes possesses the ball for 9.5 minutes, and he had 7 or 8 first downs, and they scored 7 points right there. Yeah. That gets to a little bit of Kansas City's not right now, but when they need to, they do the right things, and they're going to win games. So when you're looking at that Monday night game, which I have to look at that Monday night game again, that's something to factor in.
100%. Do you want to roll through your NFL games first, or you want me to? It's up to you.
I'll go real quick. I've only got 5. I think it's 5. I don't know. It's real light here. The Jets, Vikings. I'm at that game. I'm going under 40.5. The public, I think, is still a little bit high on Minnesota and what they did in Green Bay. But come on, they're flying across the world, and we're going to get a Lunder, right?
Lunder, yep.
Yes, and we're talking 38% of the bets, but 52% of the money. This line dropped from 41.5 to 40.5. I've got it at under 40.5. Now, an odd one for Mike. I went here last week. I'm going to go there again, and I know I'm going to kick myself because of one player, and I have 2 bets on this damn player, Blake. The Cards and 49ers. I've got it over 49.5. I think the public still sees the 49ers as the staunch defense. When they go in there, you're coming into their house. Thing is they're not really good. They haven't been really good at home over the last couple of years. They've definitely got better, but I'm going over 49.5. This line with 42% of the bets, 61% of the money, this line immediately shot up from 49 to 51. it tricked back down to where I found it. This is one that I know I'm going to kick myself because I bet against what I usually do with that double move. I like line going one way, but I took it at 49.5. And I also hate that I'm coming back with the Cardinals plus 7.5.
I have that too.
I love divisional games, and if you're going to give me 7.5 points in a divisional game, I'm going to take it.
That was my exact thought, Mike. Like legitimately, touchdown, and like this plays to your over. Arizona's been able to score.
Yes.
Besides the Lions game, they've been able to score pretty much at will all year.
Yeah, there's one thing. There's one thing that's going to factor into that, and I'll get to it. But I mean, literally, when they're looking at it, you would think people would be heavy on San Francisco after last week, but they don't know. It's split. It's about 50-50, but 83% of that money is on the Cardinals because that 7.5. And I think it's 70. Oh, here's a trend. Look at this. Teams are 72% against the spread after a 30-point loss the week before, and then going into a divisional game. That's the Cardinals. What scares me about this game, and I don't know if you saw what I saw last week, Kyler Murray is the biggest baby I've ever seen on a football field. His body language is disgusting.
Yeah.
Like I was
DJ, I'll counter that with DJ Moore.
Okay. I mean, we're always gonna find someone. But watching him last night, I'm like, oh, did Baker Mayfield just break his leg?
No, don't say that.
No. He was hurting. He went down, but I think he's off the field now. But anyways, I gotta stay focused. So despite hating Kyler Murray, I do like both those bets. I like the numbers. And here's one that this is going to be a line that you might be on. People are going to be on. It doesn't make sense because this team stinks and this quarterback stinks. I'm taking the Broncos minus 2.5 against the Raiders. I think the Raiders came out last week. Here's this football stuff I shouldn't be talking about. Came out last week and they were pissed off. They were embarrassed losing to Carolina, and their coach called them out. I think that's over with now. Devontae Adams has blown this thing up.
That team's falling apart.
But I think that the public still sees the Raiders are going to be inspired. They're going to play well. Crosby's going to be back. I don't even know if Adams is going to be back. They've only got.
He's out. He's out.
He's going to be out. Only 46% of the bets are on the Broncos, but its line has moved from 1 to 3. I got it at 2.5. I think it's going to come back down a little bit towards game day. So I would advise people to wait for that 2.5. Don't take the 3 that I've seen out there.
Just real quick, I have the under in that game.
I have that. What did you get it at?
I haven't put it in my account yet. I will be taking it. Last I saw it was at 36.
Okay. Cause I've seen some 35s out there. That's where if I can find 35 and ticking that way, I like that bet. I was on that. I had the under circled, but I might go over just because I think it's going to get too low, but it stinks. I don't like anything about this game. So I'm off of that one. But I do like it. That's one that I'm watching again though, but it's one of those, if it pops back up to where I like it, it's that double move that I
one of the books you use, I know, has it at 36. Okay. And it's minus 110. So it's not crazy juiced. Sure. So that's what MGM has it at right now. But again, it's all over the place. You're 100% right on that. But I like the under in that game.
You see it right here. I've got 2 that I'm leaning. I've got the Steelers. We talked about that, but the Jets. That's funny. Oh, I got the Jets. I'm going to hold out for that 3, but right under that Broncos Raiders under, and I just wrote next to it if I can make the numbers make sense. And I've got 35.5 at DK. It's kind of right in there, but that'll be something that I'm looking at too.
Yep. That's it.
That's it. I'm
Beautiful.
light.
I am too. I have 5 here. Well, and we already talked about 2 of them. Dolphins Patriots, the ugly game of the week, under 36.5. Yep. Both these offenses can't score. Mm-hmm. And the Dolphins D line is actually not terrible. I know that they lost one of their DNs for the season because that team is just getting injured all over the place, but still their D line is not bad.
But that's another coach. Just wait. Just like I'm watching this game and I can't keep my eyes off this game because Morris is going to do something stupid here. McDaniels, that's another guy. I don't know if he knows what he's doing. He's lost it. Him and his Jerry curl, whatever that hair he's got going.
I feel he's so fun. I feel bad for him, actually.
I get it. I like him. I think when he does get canned, which is coming, unfortunately, he's going to be a great offensive coordinator somewhere. I like the guy. I like his personality. He's really gone Miami, though. He had the glasses going, the hair going, everything.
Bears -4 against the Panthers.
Okay.
I just the Panthers still aren't good. Like they had the honeymoon period with Andy. They're still not a good football team, and I think the Bears are starting to get some stuff figured out offensively.
The Bears were a lot of people's darling coming into the year, and usually they may not be 100% right, but they're also not 100% wrong. That this team's going to be. But Eberflus, that's another coach.
He's so bad.
I don't. These are those X factors.
You know who their next coach is going to be, right? Ben Johnson.
Okay.
That's my. If I could bet on that, which I'm sure at some offshore book I can.
Oh, it's coming.
Bears next head coach, Ben Johnson. Like him and Caleb together would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, Commanders -3.5 against the Browns. That line makes no sense. They should be favored by more. The Browns are horrible. Browns are also very up and down, but horrible. And the Commanders, I think, Jaden's really freaking good. There's just he's the best rookie right now, like hands down, bar none.
By far. He's fun to watch. Like like I say, he's got that Stroud confidence about him. It's different. You just watch him and you can see it.
Yep. And then last one, Rams +3 against the Pack. They're at home and they're getting 3 points. I'm going to take Stafford. And the Pack just didn't look right last week. I understand they came back in that game, but still, like Jordan Love, it's just I don't know. If I can get Stafford +3, I'll take it.
Yeah, I've learned to warm up to the Blake Fields, and what you're saying, everything makes sense to me. There's nothing in there that I would say, no. I mean, it's just my numbers. That's the only reason I'm not on some of these games. But what you say makes sense. Your football sense is good, and I like it. People should be on it. People should be on all of this.
Parlay it, tease it, whatever you got to do. Put it all in there. Make it work.
Go. Sky Dog's with us. Come on, Sky Dog.
So I think that's about it. We went long again. I went on a tree tangent though. That's why we went long.
Hey, but it's therapy, Blake. It's therapy. Yes. I'm not going to charge you for that one. All right, it's all good.
Any final thoughts? Anything else you want to get off your chest before we get out of here?
I think we got it all out. I mean, the only thing I got to get off my chest is that I've got a busy weekend, so I'm not going to be watching too much of this stuff, but I'll be following on my phone.
I said, Saturday's a good day to miss.
This is true.
You're not going to be missing anything incredible.
This is true.
Next week, the next 2 weeks of college football, though, I'm going to need you to lock in.
Yeah, I've seen tweets come out by some guys that I follow that next week it could be one of the best weekends in college football history.
Yes.
So I immediately went and I was like, okay. And I know those will be on our board.
The best thing about it is Michigan has a bye next week.
That was
so I can just lock into all the other games and I don't have to stress about Michigan. I can just watch good football. Competent football. I don't have to watch that garbage.
Yep. I will be in South Lyon. I'll have Nellie's coming to visit the grandparents. So I'll have Nellie on the couch and you know what I think it's gonna be a good week to make some chili and watch some college football.
Yes.
I'm in. But just like any other time though, any questions, anyone wants a tip, a trend or whatever,
hit us up on socials.
Yep, hit us.
We will answer if anyone needs a vibes check. I'm here for it. If anything, I'm here. If there's a game you want me to get my eyes on, I am down. If there's something I'm missing, if there's a team I should be in on that I'm not in on, like I am with Tennessee, let me know. I will gladly tune in. So
yeah, anyone wants to throw numbers at me. I was getting some texts today that people were telling me I should be on Tampa, and I'm no, that's not the number I've got. That's not the number I've got. My number would be towards Atlanta. But I love those conversations. So if anyone wants to have them, we'll be here. And as always, Blake, it's been a pleasure, man.
it has been a pleasure. Thank you, Todd. Thank you for battling through this long show with us. Mike, go to bed, get some sleep. You got an early morning.
Absolutely.
And
I can't wait.
that's it. Good luck, everyone, this weekend. And we are out.
You've been listening to Off the Board. Tune in all throughout the football season for weekly picks and insights. Subscribe to Unsyndicated and Off the Board on all your favorite social media and podcast platforms.